the Blackkklansman. Hi, my name is Suggs, and welcome to my channel. And I'm going to give you my conservative take. And we're going to start right now. So the way this works is I'm going to give you my movie review based on 5 categories. And of those 5 categories, we're going to score it, and I'm going to give you a 4-star rating. After that, I'm going to give you a conservative take on whether or not you should go, not go, or to go with caution. Now, mind you, this section will include spoilers, but I will indicate that above, and you can skip over that if you like. To do that, go into the description and look for the index, and you can skip forward to anywhere in the video. Okay, so now with that, let's get started. So The Blackkklansman is Spike Lee's latest movie. It came out in 2018. It stars John David Washington as Ron Stallworth, as well as Adam Driver, and it's based on a true story about an infiltration of the police into the Ku Klux Klan. And it's interesting because Ron Stallworth happens to be black. And so this story is pretty interesting because obviously it's very difficult for a black person to join the Klan. And so Adam Driver is a person who actually helps with this sting operation. And so as far as the story is concerned, it's a pretty decent story. It goes forward with Ron Stallworth goes to a college campus. He meets a woman that he falls in love with and ends up finding out that there's a gentleman there who's a political person, and they're worried about potential Black Panther uprisings. And so he's supposed to be spying on that. But to find out, he actually decides to let's do this and infiltrate the Ku Klux Klan. So he gains permission to do that, and then escapades ensue. So as far as the story is concerned, it's pretty cut and dry, but since it's a true story, I'll give this rating a 7. As far as the emotional impact in this movie, I don't feel much. I mean, I'm a black man, and I still didn't really get any movement in my emotions one way or the other. I was sort of whatever, blasé. I was expecting something a little bit more powerful, but it was trying to be a comedy, and then it was trying to get serious. So it really didn't have any impact because it didn't really know what it wanted to do in terms of its tone. And so, I give it a 5. As far as the intangibles for this movie, again, this movie doesn't have much. It doesn't jump out at you. The direction isn't anything spectacular. It's okay. The acting is okay, I guess. The screenplay is so-so. Again, the mood of the film is all over the place. You don't know if it wants to be a comedy, if it wants to be serious. What is it? I think Spike Lee just kind of phoned this one in, and he expected this to actually be, an Oscar-worthy movie. So for the intangibles, I'm giving it a 5. As far as watchability, I give it a 4 because I don't really want to see it again, and I don't want to recommend it. The last few minutes just destroys the movie. It's too much on the nose, and that's another thing about this film. He does stuff that's way over the top, and it's like the messaging is just in your face, punch you with no subtlety whatsoever. It's a clear propaganda piece, and I don't want to see it again, and I don't want to recommend it. My overall rating for this film is going to be a 6, and that's highly generous because, I guess there is some decent acting in here, and it is fairly well put together, but the story isn't really good. The soundtrack or the score really isn't that memorable. The climax at the end of the film is a misnomer. It's poorly directed. By the way, this is a spoiler section, not that you really care anyway, but just so you know. So Spike Lee at the end of the movie does a 3 or 4 minute montage on the Charlottesville incident where he takes the president out of context saying that there are good people on all sides. The actual quote, I'll put it up on the screen, is not what he said in the context. And if you look at the actual situation there, Charlottesville, it's a lot different than what the media was portraying it. And if that's all he has to lay on the president's feet in terms of being racist, well, that's pretty weak. And he tries to draw loose comparisons to America First, about the Klan using that slogan, and he's obviously taking a dig at Americans. And that's also very weak, considering the fact that Spike Lee wants to essentially say that he's for illegal aliens over Americans. And that's the messaging, the America First. It's put legal Americans first over illegal aliens. And here you have a guy who talks about the bondage of the African people, of the African diaspora, and yet he wants to put the people that struggled hard for over 100 years, where they actually were whipped, beaten, lynched, and he's going to put these people and the descendants of these people in the back of the bus for illegal aliens, which is essentially what he's saying. I think now is a good time to mention to Spike that every person, every racist that was depicted in this movie by an actor was a Democrat. That includes George Wallace, that includes President Woodrow Wilson, and yes, it even includes your main antagonist, David Duke. At the time of this occurrence in history, David Duke was a Democrat. And I know some of you may be saying, hey, but the party switched and so forth. Well, that's not true. It's very easily debunked. I will leave a link below of a video that I did that's very well documented called The 3 Ways to Prove That the Parties Never Switched. So check that out. And also his messaging, he comes out and says, you know what? He says, well, why don't you go out and get a gun? He has Stokely Carmichael, who was presented in the movie, who basically whispered in the lead actress's ear saying, go get a gun and arm yourself. The lead character, Starworth, and the female lead, have her knock on the door. They go grab their guns and go out not blazing, but they go out to see what's outside. And of course, there's a cross burning in the backyard, and it goes into this montage. It makes no sense whatsoever. But at the same time, he wants to have this socialist, liberal mentality in terms of and victimization of Africans, but yet he wants to turn around and say, go ahead and get a gun. So that's totally hypocritical in terms of the messaging coming from the left. So I don't know what Spike Lee is trying to do. And then he wants to act a fool on the Oscars and put down the Green Book as if his movie was so much better. Well, Spike, your movie was not that much better. In fact, it was horrible in comparison. No one's claiming that. Spike always wanted to have an Oscar to his name for Best Picture. He got Best Screenplay. He shared it with 3 others. And by the way, he was the only person to actually speak during that ceremony. So Spike, you know what, man? You really dropped the ball on this one, and you really showed yourself on this. And no one needs to go see this film. The little bit that it was good, you ruined it towards the end with that out of context montage, racist crap that you put out there trying to portray people in a light that they weren't supposed to be. So that's my rant, and I'm done with that. So my final take on this movie is basically it's a rating of 11 out of a score of 20. It's a 2.5 star movie. There's some few things in there that keep it from being a total piece of crap, but 2.5 stars. Definitely don't go see this. And so with that, I'm done. And if you like with this content on this channel, please consider liking and subscribing and let me know, because the most important thing is what you think. Did you see the Blackkklansman? Was I being too hard on it? If I was, comment below. If you agree with me, comment below and let me know. I value your comments. I read all your comments, and I look forward to hearing what you got to say. So with that, always be awesome, and I will see you on my next conservative take.